Makoti, are you the one? Do you want to even be the one? Based on what we are seeing here. Do you want to be the one, Makoti? And why? They did their jobs. Casting was casting. Production was producing. Baberekile. Hey, guys. Yeah. Trauma, lit drama, lit distress is what is in store for the rest of the season. And as you guys know, it takes a toll on my spirit sometimes. So it still surprises me that like people want to be on TV putting your business in the street. Because here it's just business in the street. And we're here for all of it. I'm sorry to say. I wish I was a better person. But culture that we must all, adopt and adhere to and subscribe to. And it mustn't be questioned. It mustn't adapt. It has to stay this very rigid, unchanging thing in a changing world. What does that look like? A lot of this kotizing is about being subservient, and people will humiliate you and break you down. Bouncing kane. You know that you have sometimes haule makoti and you're not allowed to talk back and you're not allowed to bring up any issues you might have, and you're just supposed to be the sponge that absorbs everything. But, dare you say anything or have an opinion about how you're being treated, about, what people are making you do, about your own boundaries, about your own autonomy and agency as an individual. Dare you say anything about that? No. Wena batla go tlhathamola because ba o bona gore o na le nkane ebileng, and they're gonna show you. That's a lot of, I think, what we're about to see in this season. You need to know your why for me. And it has to go further than I love him or I love her. You can love people and not marry them. Why marriage?
Hello,
Because
everybody, and welcome back to Rachadi's Views with me, Rachadi Watsona, where I give you my views on reality.
I know. Okay, guys, I know what I said. I know. I said, I'm done with reality television. I wanted more nation building television. I still do. Rachadi is still here about nation building, right? But also, right, because we're not just one thing as people. I decided to engage because I had watched season one, yeah, Makoti, Are You the One? Whenever it came out, like 3 years ago or whatever. And then I skipped season two. So I was just lying here in my bed after a long week. God, no, let me just watch. There's a new season out. Guys! Kakenya episode one, kawanami. Lo. And I was just narrating to myself, and I was like, no, girl, let's just put this on a video because number one, a lot of very important themes that I'd like to touch on. Because if you have never watched this show, don't even bother with season one and two. Do if you need some reference, but like season three will get you right into it. So I'm not really sure yet if I'm going to do an episode by episode review because from what they showed us at the end of episode one in terms of what's coming up this season, it was just looking like trauma, lit drama, lit distress is what is in store for the rest of the season. And as you guys know, it takes a toll on my spirit sometimes. So I think I'm going to carry on in the theme of Utando Tembu, where I gave you guys just, a little jump back in to give you some of the themes that are coming up for me and what we need to talk about. Utando Tembu, I'm going to do an update about that. Yes, I just need to watch Thursday's episode and catch up. And then I'll just do like another mid-season review. But guys, if you have not watched Makoti, Are You the There's a lot. And as per usual, for me, the perspective that I'd like us to take is number one, we are human beings, ne? We are human beings. Lina, I had a bit of a crisis of conscience, and like I had to have a little bit of, come to Jesus with myself. Gore girl, like, ka nnete, o sa seba batho on the internet. I am not a perfect human. No such thing exists. God is still working on me, ne? But my perspective and my intention is always that the reviews be educational so that we might learn something, so that we might see ourselves in some of these people, and that it can be nation building if we take that perspective. However, comma, yes, sometimes we just need to come and just check in with other people. Are you seeing what I'm seeing on the TV? Because what is going on? So yes, I decided, let me come to you guys straight from the. I'm in the duvet, in the duvet, but at least karashab get lipstick in for the people, and not be looking as crusty as this week has got me feeling. So, welcome. If you are new to the channel, hello and welcome to Rakhadi's Views. Please don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to share if there's going to be some gems here. I do long form reviews, okay? So those who have been with me and have watched and follow and like and comment, they know what time it is on this channel. I'm not going to give you bite sized. We get into some detail because I like to take the meat of what we are watching and throw away the bones. And for those who are returning, watchers and subscribers, welcome back, guys. I have missed you. Guys, I really do love it. I saw even on the previous video, people were leaving their comments and their thoughts. I really, really enjoyed reading your guys' comments. And please let me know, what your thoughts are. I'm always so interested to know if people are seeing things differently than I am. Share your perspective. Because I'm just giving you my opinion. This is my opinion on the internet. So I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Let's get strapped in. Whatever you are doing, pour yourself a glass of, or now that it's getting a little bit chilly, some tea, some coffee, whatever. You're doing your laundry, you're in your car. Hello, darlings. Let's get into it. So, before I actually do an episode or an episode review in terms of meeting the couples, because this is a let's meet the couples, we're setting the stage. There are a couple of themes that came up for me as I was watching this show, that I thought maybe let's address up front. First and foremost, which is that casting directors and production are clearly doing the jobs that they were paid to do. I'm not really sure which production company this is, but it's giving me Basitsana Kumalo's. I don't know the name of the one. I think they also did Married at First Sight. It's giving me those vibes. I don't know what the name of that production company is, but it's clear that production and the casting directors knew exactly what they were doing to create a fertile ground for drama, le chaos, le delusion on TV, because they have cast 4 couples. Okay, so there's 4 different couples. We'll get into them a little bit later. 4 different couples where all of the mother-in-laws do not like the incoming ladies that their sons have chosen. And I use that language intentionally because these are people that were chosen by these men. I get we all go out here, we've got free will. Mudimu urifile. Some free will. So they went out here and they chose these people. All 4 of these women were selected by casting directors and selected by production as women who already have problems with the partners that are chosen. Right? Okay? See where I'm going with it? Out of the 4, we don't even have one. But at least they could have given us one fella who's easygoing, obatang peace, and will actually impart some wisdom and some knowledge, as is what this courtesing process is supposed to be about. palate cleanser nyana, just in betwixt all of the drama. No, production said, no, baby girl, we are out here making television, we are making entertainment to put on the TV for ratings, for profit. And that is very clear when you look at who has been cast for this show. So, love it or hate it doesn't matter how I feel about it morally, but like they did their jobs. Casting was casting, production was producing. Baberekile. Hey guys, it's entertainment is going to be guaranteed from the coming up this season, from this episode, Nje. But a bigger part of Rakadi is always just like, but these are real people's lives, right? And listen, all of them consensually have come to be on TV for varying reasons. Some to be famous, some to be popular. Others, I really don't understand, guys. In the days before we had smartphones, and I'm going to go on a tangent here. In the days before we had smartphones, as a concept, it made sense to me that, like, when somebody sees their face on the TV, that's a very novel idea. It's very exciting. Now everybody has got some sort of social media platform where they are taking either pictures or videos of themselves and posting it out to the world. So I thought that perhaps the novelty of being on a screen and on a TV might have worn out. But season by season and year by year, as more people still opt to be in reality TV shows for free, I think, or for very minimal pay, it still surprises me that like people want to be on TV putting your business in the street because here it's just cover business in the street, and we're here for all of it. I'm sorry to say, I wish I was a better person. Okay. Which leads me to theme number 2. It's evident that women have really internalized a lot of patriarchy across races, genders, class. But for the purpose of this show, because it is happening on Mzansi Magic with Black African families, we are going to talk about it within the Black African, South African context. And it is evident that women have still very much internalized patriarchy, and we are only really scratching the surface. I don't even think that in some ways we're even addressing the ways that that internalized patriarchy leads to women perpetuating violence against one another under the guise and the theme of marriage. And we are preparing you for this very tough road for the Begazel and the Nyamazel that is marriage. And it's all in the name of culture and tradition. But what it actually is some violence. I had to go through it. This is how I was prepared to be a wife and to be a homemaker and to be intiga of the household. Violence, a lot of it is what is going on here. In particular, verbal, emotional, and psychological. And that we are going to unpack in this show, because marriage and the altar of marriage, at which a lot of women have to sacrifice their being and who they are in the name of having a marriage and a household, some women, are the things that we are going to be unpacking here. No, because I think definitely the family's perceptions, and even these husbands to be kitty boyfriend, they will just call them the men for now. I think only one has lobolad, which was Temba, the PR influencer person who I think is here for likes and views. Um, Even the men, they also have their own perceptions, and silent violence that they are perpetuating against these women, because I actually heard, I can't remember when it was, but even the phrase Makoti, allegedly is derived from the Afrikaans Makonstie. Makoti. It was the person who's sitting at the door outside the Afrikaner household, go kitchen, sitting by the door with an apron, ready to make tea, to serve, to clean. That and that makes sense. This might be a fable, you know, and not even based in any truth. But for me, that definitely makes sense because the premise of this 21 days is supposed to be where women are going into, their in-laws' households to learn about the family, their way of life, their cultures, and their different traditions, because sometimes it's across tribes, and the passing down of wisdom and knowledge, and really getting to learn these people intimately so that you can actually start to have a connection and care for them. Ideally, I think this is what it was supposed to be about. However, the focus of this show, which I don't know if the show is being a mirror for what's happening in society, or if the show is just, putting a bigger spotlight on the fact that a lot of this kotizing is about being subservient, and people will humiliate you and break you down, bouncing. You know that you have sometimes haole makoti, and you're not allowed to talk back, and you're not allowed to bring up any issues you might have, and you're just supposed to be the sponge that absorbs everything. But dare you say anything or have an opinion about how you're being treated, about what people are making you do, about your own boundaries, about your own autonomy and agency as an individual. Dare you say anything about that? No. Wena ba tlo go tlhatlhamola because ba o bona gore o na le nkane ebileng, and they're gonna show you. That's a lot of, I think, what we're about to see in this season. That's definitely some of what was taking place in season one that I watched. And in the spin off show that came from season one, which was, what is it? Nganele. I think it might still be on Showmax if anybody hasn't watched it. The next theme that I want to talk about, which came up, and I think it has been a theme that has been persistent just in society, but for me was made very clear in this season 3, episode 1, is that the concept of these devouring mothers. Ne? Okay, so now we're going to go in a little bit of philosophy and psychology, touching a bit on the coaching here. But the concept of the devouring mother, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of that, but go and Google. But basically, it's about mothers who've been parenting their sons, smothering them with love, with control, and a very unhealthy attachment and enmeshment in their sons' lives, where it's actually now starting to impede their own personal development, their own intellectual development as well. Because this son who becomes a man, it's supposed to be through life experience, but I get it because devouring mother holding him here, won't let him leave and go and live his experiences and actually become a man through life and running a household and learning about who he is and learning how to be a partner to his woman. So the devouring mothers who are holding them here, who are controlling them, who are overly protective, who are emotionally manipulative, who are all encompassing and interfering in their sons' lives so that these sons don't really fully develop in the way that they need to. That is a theme that was made starkly evident to me as Rakadi as I was watching this. So these are conversations that I think a lot of, well, let me speak about the circles that I am in and the conversations that I have had. And particularly, I think most women who have maybe been raised in a household where you were the daughter and there might have been a son or a cousin, another male figure in the house was being raised. I think it has been the experience of a lot of girls and women who've been raised where you feel like your mother is raising you, and sometimes in very harsh circumstances and with very high expectations, but the sons are being loved. There's that saying, girls get raised and sons get loved. These are the consequences, these devouring mothers. So I said, because this is an educational channel, can you all bear with me? Because I found a very good website where I was like, you know what? People might want to see this. So the concept of the devouring mother, so this is a Freudian concept, that there is a devouring father as well. But for the purposes of this show, because it's the mothers who are front and center, we're going to be talking about the devouring mothers. The devouring father is also there, guys. Google it. It's actually very interesting. They're more on the aggressive, controlling, domineering side of things. Devouring mother, these are the 4 characteristics that I found for you on the internet so that you don't have to do your own research. Very enlightening stuff. First characteristic, overprotection. The parent may be excessively controlling and protective, inhibiting the child's ability to explore the world, take risks, and develop a sense of autonomy. Second characteristic, emotional manipulation. The parent may use guilt, shame, or fear to maintain control over the child, which can lead to emotional instability or difficulty forming healthy relationships in the future. Third characteristic, narcissism. The parent may prioritize their own needs, desires, or ego above the needs of the child, causing the child to feel invalidated, unloved, or unseen. And the fourth characteristic is enmeshment. The parent may have poor boundaries and be overly involved in the child's life, making it difficult for the child to establish their own identity or maintain a sense of self. When we're talking about infantile partners who lack boundaries, this happens for women, for girls as well, as the dynamic of daughters and their mothers. But for the purposes of this show, these guys, their mothers or their mother figures, because some were raised by mother figures and aunts, devouring mothers all the way. All the way. If you really want to know, you can even go to YouTube, go listen to some Jordan Peterson. He talks a lot about this. And the fifth and final theme that I wanted to touch on was, I think we're really being presented in this show and in our daily life, particularly as Black African, South African people, that there really is a clash of the old way of doing things versus the new way of being that I think our collective awakening as a society is forcing us all to individually confront within ourselves, in our communities, in our relationships, right? Because what you're seeing in this show is that, we're trying to hold on to the culture, which is man-made. Number one, culture is man-made. But culture that we must all, adopt and adhere to and subscribe to, and it mustn't be questioned. It mustn't adapt. It has to stay this very rigid, unchanging thing in a changing world. What does that look like? Because, in particular, for the woman, and I'm going to focus on Abo Makoti because it's in the title, the focus is on the Makotis here. What does it really look like? Because you have these women who are going into these in-laws' houses where they are going to be confronted with a lot of unspoken expectations and demands that they are going to be required to meet. I.e., one of the girls, Bridget, she's an MC at a nightclub. She works from nightfall to sunrise. Now she's saying she's already got issues with her mother-in-law because her mother-in-law always has something to say when she comes back at 6 a.m., at 7 a.m., when she's finished doing her work. And from that perception alone, Mama Zala is already saying this person is not suited for my son. And she's not a wife because this is what you're doing. Perhaps this all makes sense, but we are living in different times where there are a lot of different types of work opportunities that have opened up for women and for men across the board that require some change in our lifestyles, some change in our mentality, in our mindset about certain things. And I think this is where we are seeing that juxtaposition. And it's a very gray area. I don't have an answer. I don't think there is a black and white answer because as a society, we're still in the transition, you know, of trying to figure it out. We're in a transitionary phase with a lot of different things. So I think it's more of an opportunity, maybe for us to also just loosen the reins, and not put so much expectation on these relationships and that when I'm in a relationship, it's forever, yeah, not till the end of time. Can we just go into it and be like, let me be curious and discover who I am in this changing world, in my own body as an evolving spirit, in this meat suit, trying to have an experience. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to these cultures and these traditions and these roles, because you still have people in this show and the in laws, as well as the expectant husbands, with all of their unspoken expectations where we're expecting these makotis to still go out and work full time, but then they must still have the capacity or even the interest in coming back and engaging in housekeeping and in child rearing full time also. So it's two jobs now. During the day, you must go get bacon, liwena. And then you must come back home at night, must take care of the family, take care of the kids, take care of the in laws, because one husband even made it's not even a husband, one boyfriend even made the comment that, as the Makoti, it's your responsibility to bring the family together. So even that is now a job. There's actually a term for it. What was it? The term for it is a kin keeper. Now Sekoa guys, they are updating us. A kin keeper. So that's your third role as the Makoti. So the kin keeper is a family member, often a woman, who actively works to maintain and strengthen family relationships and bonds by facilitating communication, planning gatherings, sharing news, and essentially acting as the glue of the family. So these are all of the new roles and the jobs that you must have outside of having an actual job. So it's the contrast now that must be held. You must be bold in the bedroom, but you must be meek in public. O apare tuku, o shebe ko fatshe, o be yebo baba. But you must also be out of the house, working and bringing home the bacon. But when it comes to the children, you're the primary caregiver. You know, you're expected to be the glue of the family, the kin keeper. But according to your in laws, you must also know your place. Like, that's the theme. There's a lot of contrast. And as I said, there's no answers, but we're going to unpack it and figure it out as we get deeper into Makoti. Are you the one? Do you want to even be the one? Based on what we are seeing here. Do you want to be the one, Makoti? And why? I'm not saying don't be the one, but have you asked yourselves those questions? Which goes into a very fundamental theme in general of marriage and partnership. Why? You need to know your why for me. And it has to go further than I love him or I love her. You can love people and not marry them. Why marriage? Because it is a very serious thing, as other in laws and family members were telling these people when they wanted to play around and do this play 21 days of kotizing. It's a serious thing. Why is it important to you? And there is no one right answer. But you definitely need to have put some time and effort into sitting down and reflecting to have that answer for yourself. Otherwise, you can watch any reality TV that I've reviewed, TV show that I've reviewed. You'll see there, what otherwise, dot, dot, dot. Makoti, do you want to be the one? Guys, thank you so much for watching. Um, so those were the themes for me for Makoti Are You the One for season 3. I'm going to come back with a review of actually getting into the episode now of what had happened with all of the people. But in the meantime, spread love, not hate. Ciao.